So I've spent the last year or so trying to figure out how I went from getting a MAID assessment done and saying that I was basically eligible to signing for a provision date, which was supposed to be last May. How I went from that to all of a sudden having questions about my mental health be brought up, and at the time you could not solely apply to MAID for a mental illness, but because I was a person with a chronic health issue that was life-limiting and progressive, and no doctor could really give a firm prognosis, and because I had gone off and off my life prolonging treatments, they couldn't really say from that standpoint. But my specialist got involved and said, well, if she takes the medication that we've given her, she could live 5 to 10 years. But once again, nobody could tell me what quality of life I would have, how disabled I would be during that time. But at least they would be able to collect data from me because I was still alive. So last summer I decided to stop taking my life-prolonging meds, which were Adcirca, Optimate, Perindopril, and just go for comfort base. I got a report from Sunnybrook. They were supposed to be my second assessors, except I had a year 5 student who was not an independent licensed doctor and who was not actually provided to work at Sunnybrook, but their supervisor was a license holding psychiatrist, and they basically turned a MAID assessment into a psych assessment and blended the two. So there's this 35-page report where they collected collateral data that wasn't based on any kind of medical fact. There was a lot of opinions, there was just a lot of like masking, and once again that this was not clinical data. So now that I have that 35-page report, I have a really wonderful palliative doctor. We had to move from my hometown and spend a whole lot of money that we didn't have to get this support, but we had no other choice really. We're in a new area now, but that doctor continues to support me, and then Ontario Health at Home sends the RNs to actually give the medications that I need when I need them. But in that time, I had tried to reapply for MAID, but because I was in an area where my family doctor and the psychiatrist were actually trying to like divert me back into the same systems that I was trying to get out of, I didn't get it then. But I found out today that I probably should be looking into that, because there is going to be quite a bit of time where my mind is still functioning and is trying to stay alive because I still have a mid-30s brain, but my body is showing signs. My last NT-proBNP level was over 14,000, and when I got diagnosed I was at like 1840. So basically my heart failure number is through the roof. My husband's cardiologist was like, I haven't seen anything like this. So my body's struggling, and of course with any type of physical ailment that is that significant, your brain starts to go as well. And so like I have no short-term memory. I can't remember things from like 2 weeks ago, and I'm starting to have like signs of dementia. And at like my mid-30s, I shouldn't be going through stuff like this, right? So where we moved, there's no inpatient palliative care. There's basically, you have a family doctor in the area who comes to see you. So I'm waiting to see if I'm going to get connected with a new doctor so that I can have that set up, or if we're going to just keep my old doctor and he's going to give the instructions to the RN, which means that the medications I have in my SRK kit I will be able to utilize, and most likely I'll be able to sedate myself to a point where my brain and my body won't be fighting, and then my body can just give out. It's been a year fight trying to like go through every single medical record, trying to go through all of this and not having people believe me. But now there's like no doubt about it. That's what had happened, and I do have rights to not have to suffer the mental piece of this, which is something that I can't explain to people. If you haven't been through it, I hope you never do have to go through it. But there's a little bit of hope. It's hard because we have a 3-year-old now, and I don't want her to have to see that process. I don't want her to have to see or even go through the grieving process. That would have been different when she was 2 versus when she's 3. But here we are, and we're going to move forward, and that's just my update of where I'm at, why I had to continue to rally every time I got so sick, and why I was convinced that I couldn't do anything about it. And it's a shame that the healthcare workers that I had really didn't, I don't know what they were doing, but they weren't advocating for me. But my new palliative doctor has been a blessing in disguise and has really, really supported me and understands how psychologically and physically taxing this is, not just on me, but on my husband and my daughter. So we may be making progress, and it may not be too much longer. So there you go.